All right, let's dive into something that might sound a little paradoxical. We're talking about Argentina, a country you probably associate with economic chaos, right? Well, it turns out it's also, somehow, a booming hotbed for artificial intelligence. It's this amazing story of innovation that's literally born from necessity.
And that really brings us to the big question, doesn't it? How on earth does a nation dealing with hyperinflation also become a global AI powerhouse? I mean, it seems impossible. So let's dig in and figure out how they're pulling it off.
Okay, so here's where the answer starts to take shape. And it's pretty wild. Despite all those economic headwinds we just talked about, Argentina has managed to build the fourth largest startup ecosystem in all of South America. Now that's not just luck. It's a sign of this really unique kind of resilience, and that's what we're going to unpack.
And if you look at the numbers, you can really see that resilience in action. We're talking about being ranked 46 in the entire world, with more than 1,000 startups. And check this out, their top industry is fintech. That makes total sense, right? It's a direct response to their own economic challenges. Plus, you've got these other cities like Cordoba and Rosario popping up as major hubs. It's not just a Buenos Aires story anymore.
So, you gotta be asking, what's the secret weapon here? Well, it really boils down to one thing: people. Argentina has this incredibly deep pool of talent. We're talking top-notch programmers, STEM graduates, you name it. That's the real engine powering this whole thing. It's the foundation for everything else.
And get this, the sheer size of the opportunity here is just staggering. We're looking at a projection of over $1 billion for the generative AI market in Argentina by 2033. Think about that. This isn't just about surviving tough times. This is about building a massive, game-changing industry for the future.
Now, let's look at what that market is made of right now. And wow, it is almost entirely dominated by software, over 81%. And this is so important because it tells you that Argentinian innovators aren't just importing tech from somewhere else. No, they are on the ground actively building the tools and the platforms themselves. They're creating the value from scratch.
All right, so that's the big picture. We've got the stats, we've got the talent. But now, let's make this real. Let's meet some of the actual innovators, the companies on the ground who are making all this happen.
First up, we're heading to Rosario, which is basically the heart of Argentina's farm country. And there we find a company called Deep Agro. Their whole mission is incredibly powerful, but also really simple. Use AI to completely change the game for farming. And trust me, what they've come up with is a total game changer.
So check out how their main product, which they call Spray Eye, actually works. Imagine a tractor rolling through a field. It has cameras that are constantly scanning the crops. An AI brain then identifies, in real time, the difference between a crop and a weed. And then, this is the brilliant part, it tells a little nozzle to spray a tiny bit of herbicide only on the weed. The result is just mind-blowing. They cut down on chemical use by up to 80%.
Okay, let's go from the fields to the checkout aisle. There's this company called Intuitives, and they are totally reinventing what grab-and-go retail looks like. They're making these smart coolers and shelves where you literally just take what you want and leave. No checkout, no scanning.
And the magic behind it is their second sight AI. Now, here's the clever bit. Instead of needing all this super expensive custom hardware, their system just uses computer vision. It can be added to a regular old cooler. It's 99% accurate at figuring out what you grabbed, and because it's so lightweight and affordable, they're already expanding into the US, Brazil, Mexico, you name it. It's proof that what's built in Argentina can win on the world stage.
All right, next up is a startup tackling a massive problem, especially in Latin America: financial inclusion. The company is called Aviva, and they're building a digital bank for all the people who have been pretty much ignored by traditional banks. But how they're doing it? Well, it's something I've never seen before.
So, think about it. How do you give a loan to someone who has zero credit history? It's a huge challenge. Well, Aviva's solution is that the applicant just records a 3-minute video of themselves talking. Then their AI gets to work. It doesn't just analyze the words, it analyzes their tone, their expressions. It's inferred personality and emotion to figure out if they're a good credit risk. It's an absolutely brilliant way to open up financial services to millions of people. Of course, all this amazing innovation doesn't just happen on its own, right? It needs money, it needs fuel. So now we're going to pivot and look at the venture capital world that's funding these companies. And we'll also talk about some of the real challenges that the ecosystem is still facing.
And here are some of the key investors making it all happen. You can actually see a really cool pattern here. You got funds like Draper Cygnus going all in on the deep tech and ag tech stuff, backing companies like Deep Agro.
Then you've got others like Newtopia VC who are focused on Gen AI and fintech, funding companies like Aviva. So there's this great synergy going on. The right money is finding the right ideas.
So how are these deals getting done? Well, a lot of them are using something called a SAFE. A SAFE, it stands for Simple Agreement for Future Equity, is basically a super flexible way for a startup to get cash fast. They don't have to argue about the company's valuation right away, and you can imagine, in a super volatile economy like Argentina's, being able to move that quickly is everything. It's a total lifesaver.
But look, it's not all the perfect story. We have to talk about the challenges too. And this chart shows a pretty big one, the gender gap in funding. The data from 2021 shows that founding teams with a woman on them got only about 13% of the venture capital. So all male teams got almost 87%. It's a huge disparity and a real issue that the community there is trying to solve.
Okay, so when you put all these pieces together, what does the future look like for AI in Argentina? Well, it looks like a really exciting shift. They're moving away from just kind of catching up with global trends and are starting to build their own completely unique cutting-edge stuff.
And you can kind of see this happening in 3 stages. Right now, it's all about taking generative AI and really specializing it for industries where Argentina is already strong, like mining and fintech. Then, in the near future, you're going to see those other cities, Córdoba and Rosario, really blow up as global centers for agtech and biotech. And then the long-term play? It's for these startups to be born global, to be thinking about the US and European markets from the very first day.
Which leaves us with this one big, fascinating question to end on. You take this world-class talent, you mix it with that incredible resilience we've been talking about, and you add this new global ambition, what comes next? What kind of unique, maybe even world-changing AI solutions are going to come out of Argentina? It's going to be really exciting to watch.